You've been waiting for a sign, for the right moment, for life to finally move in the direction you've prayed for. But here's the silent pain no one talks about. The waiting begins to hurt. You feel ready, but nothing changes. You ask for clarity, but the silence grows louder. You plant the seeds, but the harvest never comes. And deep down you begin to question, has the universe forgotten me? But what if the delay is not a punishment? What if it's a law? A hidden law that governs all divine timing, a law that says, you receive not when you ask, but when you are prepared to hold what you asked for. This is where the battle begins, not on the outside, but within your mindset. Because if your thoughts are misaligned with your desires, if your inner world is not grounded in faith, clarity, and patience, the door remains closed. Napoleon Hill didn't teach success as luck. He revealed it as law. A law that responds to discipline, alignment, and vibration, not desperation or urgency. So when life slows down, when it feels like nothing is moving, it's not rejection, it's recalibration. Because the law of divine timing doesn't just bring what you want. It brings what you're ready to hold. And readiness isn't about time. It's about who you've become in the waiting. If this message finds you in the middle of the unknown, if you feel like you're walking through invisible resistance, you are not lost. You are being shaped for something your current version couldn't carry. And when you align with the frequency of trust, the law activates. And what was delayed arrives right on time. Napoleon Hill taught that success is never accidental. It is governed by invisible principles that respond to thought, belief, and persistence, but above all, timing. Hill's concept of cosmic habit force reveals that the universe operates through rhythms, like seasons, tides, and cycles. Just as you cannot harvest in winter what was not sown in spring, you cannot receive abundance before internal order is established. There is a hidden law, often ignored by those who give up too soon. Desire, plus preparedness, faithful action, manifestation. But what delays the outcome? Most people misunderstand the wait. They confuse stagnation with rejection. They pray and visualize, but secretly doubt. They declare they're ready, but still carry fear, impatience, or unresolved beliefs. And the universe, governed by this law, does not deliver based on hope alone. It delivers when your mind becomes fertile ground for the vision. Hill wrote, "Faith is the head chemist of the mind." When faith is blended with thought, the subconscious mind instantly picks up the vibration and acts upon it. This means that delay is not denial. It's a test of vibrational alignment. Are your thoughts in harmony with your desires? Or are you still speaking abundance while silently expecting lack? This law doesn't bend to emotion. It bends to vibration. And vibration is not wishful thinking. It's a state of being. So if you've been praying for breakthrough, but still carry bitterness about the wait, you're not ready. Because divine timing responds to faith, not frustration. The most powerful moment of your life might be the one you resist the most. The moment when nothing happens and you are asked to keep believing anyway. That's the law. And once you understand it, you stop trying to force the fruit. You start preparing the soil. There's a sacred principle most overlook in Napoleon Hill's teachings. When nothing seems to be happening, everything is being aligned. In the silence, when your prayers seem unheard, when your work goes unnoticed, when your faith feels like foolishness, something invisible is forming. Hill emphasized that quiet persistence is the companion of all great achievers. The ones who break through are not always the loudest or the fastest. They are the ones who continue without applause, without proof, without immediate reward. They understand this. The universe does not operate on your clock. It operates on your frequency. And frequency is adjusted in the silence. You think delay is punishment? It is actually protection. You think you've been forgotten? You're being refined. You think nothing is happening? You're being taught to master the inner game, the only game that truly matters. Here's the truth that few can handle. If the universe gave you everything you asked for right now, would your character sustain it? Would your habits support it? Would your emotions honor it? This is where delay becomes mercy. Because a gift without preparation becomes a burden, and a door opened too early becomes a trap. That's why Hill insisted on the power of definiteness of purpose and organized planning, even when there are no signs. You're not waiting on the blessing. The blessing is waiting on your internal infrastructure to catch up. This is not a punishment. It's strategy. It's the invisible orchestration of timing, readiness, and divine alignment. So when you feel the urge to quit, to complain, to doubt, pause and remember. Every second of waiting with faith is a deposit in your future harvest. Delay is not the enemy. Rushing is. And the silence you hate today may be the exact silence that saves your destiny tomorrow. Napoleon Hill spoke often of infinite intelligence, the divine source that responds not to your emotions, but to your vibration, your belief, and your clarity of purpose. This is where most people falter. They want visible results before they offer invisible trust. But universal law does not function that way. Faith, according to Hill, is the head chemist of the mind. It colors your thoughts, defines your emotional tone, and sends signals to the unseen forces that govern manifestation. When you doubt, you disrupt the signal. When you trust, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's dark, you activate the alignment. Most people confuse spiritual timing with punishment. They say, God is late. Nothing's working. This path doesn't make sense. But what they don't see is that every delay has a blueprint. There's a refinement occurring not only in your external life, but in your inner architecture. Hill made it clear. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are, and you become what you consistently think, feel, and act upon. That's why time is not your enemy. It is your mirror. When you plant a seed, you don't scream at the soil the next day asking why the tree hasn't grown. You water it. You protect it. You trust that something is happening beneath the surface. The same applies to your vision. When nothing is showing, something is growing. When doors remain closed, the right one is being built. When you're in the desert, it's not because you're lost. It's because you're being trained for rain. Faith is not passive. It is active obedience to an inner knowing. You persist when your emotions rebel. You speak life when your mind wants to shut down. You walk forward even when the road is invisible. This is what aligns you with divine timing. So if you're in a season of waiting, of not knowing, of apparent stillness, understand this. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. You are not late. You are being calibrated. You are not abandoned. You are being watched by the invisible hand that waits for your readiness. And when you trust this timing, you'll begin to notice. The more you release control, the more life responds. The more you stop forcing, the faster things fall into place. The more you surrender, the more power you access. Because the law behind divine timing doesn't bend for desperation. It responds only to alignment. There is a moment, often subtle, often unexpected, when the alignment within finally reaches critical mass. And without fanfare, without warning, the universe shifts. Opportunities begin to appear. Conversations change. Delays dissolve. The resources you once chased begin to chase you. Not because you forced the outcome, but because you became the version of yourself that could carry it. Napoleon Hill called this the sixth sense, the silent intelligence that awakens when your mind, your emotions, and your actions move in harmony with your definite purpose. When you arrive at this state, you no longer chase timing. You embody it. You walk as someone who already knows it's done. You speak as someone who is no longer begging the world for signs. You think as someone who is already living in the vibration of answered prayer. This is the hidden power of divine timing. It doesn't respond to the clock. It responds to the consistency of who you've become. And that consistency isn't loud. It's quiet. It's not in the motivational quotes you post. It's in the decisions you make in silence. The old version of you would have given up after the first delay. But now, you understand. The delay is the indicator that something deeper is being formed. You've stopped asking when, and you've started becoming worthy of what you asked for. That's when the blessing comes, not with noise, not with drama, but with a quiet confirmation. This is yours. You're ready. It arrives through a call, a shift, a moment of clarity, and you realize you didn't just wait for it, you grew into it. And that growth, that transformation, that silent becoming, was the real reward all along, because the success you asked for is not bigger than the person you became to receive it. If these words found you in a moment of delay, let this be the confirmation you didn't know you were waiting for. You are not behind. You are being refined. You are not forgotten. You are being prepared. What you call waiting. Heaven calls alignment. There are things being moved, people being positioned, doors being shaped for a version of you that doesn't rush, doesn't beg, doesn't shrink, but walks in with calm eyes, a quiet heart, and unshakable trust. This video was never about motivation. It was a reminder that divine timing isn't just something you believe in, it's something you become. So walk like it's already happening. Speak like it's already yours. Think like God is already moving, because He is. And if these words echoed something you've felt but couldn't name, write this in the comments below. I no longer chase, I align. Let's make this more than a video. Let's make it a declaration, because somewhere deep down you already know. The moment you surrender the timeline, the miracle arrives on time.